Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. Today I'm doing something a little different, as you can already tell, and it came from an unlikely source. The inspiration for this video came from my brother Dan. My brother Dan is a retired sheriff's deputy who also was a team leader on their SWAT team and a sniper for the SWAT team. And he's been watching. He doesn't play music at all except in his car stereo. But he watches my videos, and you know, what a great big brother, huh? But after one of my list videos, he said, hey, he texted me, what would be a great video is like putting together your dream bass. And we talked later that day, and he kind of went in deeper detail that part of the training for his training for being a sniper was to actually put together like his own sniper rifle with the best components that he was the most comfortable with. And so he's saying that he saw a lot of similarities between snipers doing that to bass players. Like and he was curious, what would my dream bass be if I could take any parts and put it together? So I started thinking about that, and I thought, man, that's actually not a bad idea. And I have a couple goals for this video. One is that maybe if you're looking to replace a part on one of your basses, maybe my suggestion will help, at least maybe start you on a path of research. If you but the biggest thing is I am anxious to see what you guys say. So here's a couple bit of the parameters. Every time I do one of these lists, I want to have a clear defined box about what I'm doing so I don't get off in the weeds and don't create any controversy. First of all, you might just go, oh man, my dream parts bass, my dream Frankenstein bass is actually just this by this company. Well, that's not really. I mean, I totally respect that you honor the luthier, and I do too. But it's not. That's not really what I want. So when you give me your parts bass, I really want you to break it down to what your parts would be and things like that. So that's one parameter. Now you of course in the comments you can say these parts and these parts, and then just say or I would just get this bass. But I still want to see it broken down to like what's your favorite bridge, what are your favorite pickups, things like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the really the only thing is just that it's got to be a parts base. The one other thing I should say is that when it comes to the body and the neck, I'm not going to mention one luthier by name. Over the years, I've become friends with pretty much almost all the luthiers in the world that make basses, just part of my job and just as a player for over 30 years. And I love a lot of their stuff. So instead, I'm going to talk about the components. What are the woods I like and the construction style, things like that. All right, well, let's just get into it. And so I'm going to start with the body. And the body woods that I prefer, and it's funny, it's changed. You see that I have some Warwicks here, and I'm a Marushek bass here too. But I prefer actually, as I get older, I want lighter basses. It's just harder for me. I have some neck issues. So whereas like you'll see me playing my Dolphin or my thumb bass for these videos because I'm sitting, but when I'm standing, I play the Marushek because it's actually lighter, even though it's a 5-string. So as I've gotten older, I found that I like a couple things different. One is for the body wood, I like European ash. I like that to be the back. And the top, and it's just, there's so many great tops. I could have thrown a dart at a wood chart and be happy with anyone, but I do particularly like a really figured spalted maple top. I like the combination of the woods and how they sound, and so those are the two woods. Now, honestly, I could have gone a million ways, but I kept landing on that combination when I was putting this list together. So I'm anxious to see what you guys do. As for body style, I prefer a double cutaway. That means that there's a cutaway below and above the fingerboard. But I've played some single cutaways that have been fine. What's more important is that the lower cutaway allows me to get access to the highest fret. It's just important to me and to the style I play. And of course, I want it to be a very well balanced bass. I do like the upper part of the bass to have a little bit of an angle to it, so that when I rest my arm on it, it's not resting on a square. It's resting more on a slope. That's just more comfortable for me. And where the input jack goes in, I don't like input jacks on the face of the bass. I know that's traditional for some of the great classic basses out there. I've always preferred them to be on the end, and I've seen some great luthiers doing ways to actually kind of come in at an angle so that it's not a sharp, first of all, that the jack doesn't stick out and it's more protected. So if you're turning, you're not going to break it off. So I'd probably go with something like that. So that's my body. Let's look at the neck. And the neck and fingerboard, I'm combining both together. Neck wood, man, I tell you what, over the years of playing different basses, I really like the combination of wenge. Some people call it whinge. I was with Warwick for so long that they seem to call it wenge, so I call it wenge. And paduk. I like that combination of a multi-laminate neck, where it's like wenge paduk, wenge, or something like that, depending on that. On a 4-string, usually, I've seen really great 5-lamb necks. But I do like that combination. I like the back of the neck to be unfinished, with maybe just an oil finish, but not a paint. Which is funny, because I demo mostly on the videos now using my yellow Dolphin bass, which has a painted neck. But honestly, I'm not a really big fan of that feel, especially as you're playing on and getting sweaty, the stage is getting hot. I've always liked it to be a natural wood oil stain. So that's the neck. The fingerboard, I am a fan of the wenge fingerboards. They're just super durable to me. I like the tone of them in combination with the other woods. I've always seemed to be drawn to that tone. And they just seem really a nice rigid fingerboard. So that would be the combination. When it comes to frets, I am going to go with Warwick's bell brass frets, which when I was with Warwick, you could buy the frets separately, and that's why I could mention them here. I don't know if that's changed, but in the past you could actually buy the frets for your own builds. Bell brass is a silver bronze alloy that's super durable, super hard, and very resonant. I like them because on my basses that I've had only nickel strings on, I've never had to have a fret job. Think about that. I mean, some of my basses are 25 years old, maybe even a little closer to, I think 25 is about right. And unless I've used stainless steel strings, I've not had barely scuffing the bell brass. And I like a good durable fret. I think the frets sound good. The only downside is that being the bell brass will actually tarnish a little green. But if you just get like a Chore Boy sponge, that's the sponge that's got that green, gnarly green back to it, and just scrape it, smooth it across the frets, it'll actually polish the frets, take the green off, and look really good. So that's my body and neck combination. Oh, I should say, I do actually prefer a 26 fret neck. I just got used to it. My Dolphin and my Thumb have 26 frets, so a lot of the songs I was composing tapping-wise used the high 26th fret. And then I would go to even a 24 fret neck and it'd be a bummer. So if I'm putting together my dream bass, it'd have 26 frets. Tuners. So I'm going to recommend a newer model, but I got addicted to these tuners because of some of my Warwick basses had a tendency to be a little neck heavy. The neck kind of wanted to dive. And so to alleviate that, based on some suggestions from players, I would get the Godot Resolite tuners. They're just a lighter tuner. So if you think about having a stick out here and you put a weight at the end of the stick, but you hold it here, it makes a big difference. Even if it's a light weight, it seems amplified. So by taking on your headstock and putting these Godot Resolite tuners, they're so much lighter that it really alleviated a lot of problems I had with neck diving on some of my basses. I looked them up, and there's a really cool, I don't have this particular one, but it's a Godot Resolite GB 528. It's got a gear ratio 1:26, and I just think they make really great lightweight tuners. So that would be my choice there. Now going to the bridge, I'm going super old school. It's still available. I checked. You can still buy it. But to give you a little bit of history, in 1985, maybe even late 84, I got my first bass. I bought a BC Rich NJ Series Eagle bass, a neck-through bass, but it was their NJ Series, not the American-made. And a great bass. And at the guitar store I worked, we had an amazing luthier repairman, a guy that was phenomenal named Harrison Phipps. And he and I hit it off, and he offered to kind of take the bass and just make it, well, in a way, kind of a Frankenstein bass. But one of the recommendations he made was to get rid of the bridge. The bridge was probably one of the weakest links, the bridge and the pickups. And the bridge was very flimsy and rattled a little bit. So he suggested the Schaller bridge, and I looked it up. It's called the Schaller 4-string roller bass bridge. Still available, but here's what over the years, and I still have the bass, But over the years, what I fell in love with is, first of all, it's a very low profile bridge. So instead of being a big blocky bridge that's got a lot of height off the body, it's very low. And that seemed to really make it easier for me to set up and get the action the way I wanted it. It's also locked in. I mean, it's so, I mean, you know, I'm a pretty aggressive player live, and all the slapping and stuff I do, it's easy for the bridge to need adjustment, but it seemed like that just locked in and stayed. And that bass I have had since 1984. I think it was right before Christmas in '84 I bought it. And that bridge, I haven't had to replace saddles, springs, anything. And, you know, it's great. All my first LA sessions and all my time at Musicians Institute as a student, and the first, well, really as just a student, I played that bass a lot. So I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of playing on it. And that bridge has just never wavered a bit. So I do recommend that bridge. You might not be familiar with it, so you may want to take a look at it, look around online. But it's called the Schaller 4-string roller bridge. Now, for the nut on the neck, it's funny, I've had every kind of nut. I've had plastic nuts, I've had the brass nuts, I've had graphite nuts, bone nuts on the bass I was just talking about. My BC Rich has a bone nut, so it's fine. But I have to tell you, of all the heavy playing I did and all the shows I did, I really grew to like graphite nuts. And I'm not mentioning a brand here because most of them were done by luthiers or repairmen who just bought the blanks and carved them and put them on my bass. So I can't tell you. But the graphite nut, what I liked is if I'm doing bending or doing anything like that, sometimes, especially on the G string, as I'm bending it, I would hear a little ting on like brass, and sometimes, rarely on some of the other materials. But the graphite, I never heard that. It seemed like it seems like it wouldn't do that. And that kind of made me choose that. I'm not as sold about graphite nuts because if I meet a builder who's doing some work and they suggest something, I usually say, yeah, give it a shot. But if I have to put it together, I would say graphite. All right, now we're getting to pickups, and I need to give you a disclaimer. I don't talk about this a lot, but I am actually, I work for Aguilar Amplification. Now, to be fair, I played their gear before I was an employee there, and I fell in love with the way they make amps and cabinets and pickups. And so when I was going through this for pickups, I struggled. I was going to say, well, maybe I'll just say, to be fair, maybe I'll just say the configuration, like what kind of pickups style-wise, not necessarily a brand. But I really love these pickups. So I'm going to just kind of step outside, but you've been warned. I do work for Aguilar, but I got to tell you, I love their AG4J HC pickups. Since this Dream bass is a 4-string bass, and I might do a 5-string and 6-string version of this video in the future, but for the 4-string bass, I just like 2 jazz pickups. But I don't like hum at all. I played so many bad bars. I mean, in the early days, it was not uncommon to be playing a bar with a passive bass and having like the bartender turn on the blender and it comes through your pickups. And it's just, I hated it. Or, you stop playing, you take your hands away, and because the circuit is crappy from the bar, you hear zzz. I mean, that just drove me nuts. And shortly after my starting to play bass, I actually became the house bassist at Mother's recording studio in Paradise, California. And they really were on me about always making sure my gear was, studio quiet, no buzzes, no rattles, nothing. And so I became very sensitive to that. And it was when I first played the AG4J HC pickups, the HC stands for hum canceling, that I absolutely fell in love. Now, it's not just because they're hum canceling. The big thing about Aguilar pickups is they're tonally balanced. And that means that the tone you get on like in this case, the E string, is the same tone as you get on the G string. And if you're like, well, of course. No, not of course. There was a lot of pickups I had on my basses where I would get the E and the A string sounding exactly right, but then it would sound different when I played the D and the G string, and I couldn't seem to get a happy medium. So when I first played a bass with the Aguilar 4J HCs, I was blown away. That just removed all that hassle and problem. And people noticed, man, guitar players I'd be playing with thought, man, your tone's so great and stuff. They didn't know specifically what they were commenting on, but it was my pickups. So for my Frankenstein bass, definitely going to go with the AG4J HCs. And likewise with the preamp, it's my favorite preamp, so I'm going to say it too. It's the Aguilar OBP3 SKPP. The SK means that the treble in the bass pot is a stack pot, and the PP refers to the mid pot is a push-pull to shift the mids between 2 frequency points. Yeah, I just like OBPs, and I like this particular configuration because of I don't like a lot of knobs and switches on my bass. I mean, for my dream bass, 4 knobs, a master volume, so I can just turn one up and down and do swells and not have to deal with 2 volumes. I like a blend, a pickup blend, and I use that pickup blend a lot because I do like to go back to the bridge pickup, sometimes just the neck pickup and things like, and various points in between. So 2 of my knobs, master volume, blend, pickup blend, my mid pot by itself with the push-pull function, and then the stacked treble and bass. Now why that? Instead of just 3 individuals? I find that I set my bass and treble and leave it, but my mid control I turn a lot. And so I'm constantly tweaking my mids depending on if I'm fingerstyle, if I'm thumbing, whatnot. It's just, for me, that's been the frequency I always kind of want to adjust. So that makes the most sense, and for me, 4 knobs does not look too busy. So that's that. Just a couple other things. One is the way to access the controls and the battery. First of all, I like a separate battery compartment for my preamp. I don't like it to be in the same as the control part. I know that's probably me being high maintenance, but I just prefer that. And I like the new ones. When it comes to both the control cover and the battery, I don't want to have to deal with screwdrivers. So any kind of easy access. Some guys are using magnets, some are using little tabs, whatever it is. I mean, I think the magnets are coolest, and I don't think they'd have any problem with them breaking. Sometimes the tabs on some of my basses would ultimately break, and I'd have to replace the compartment. But as long as it's just easy access, because I don't get into the electronics compartment much, but I do get into the battery, obviously. So there's some cool push ones where you push on them and they come up, and there's other ones that I've seen. So anyway, just easy access for those 2 compartments. Now lastly, but I think some ways more importantly, is, as I mentioned before, I am an aggressive player live. I love to get into the spirit. I love to get the audience riled up. So I move a lot. And in the early days with that BC Rich on stage, my strap fell off my strap button, and I caught my bass at the last second, and that just horrified me. So going into the guitar store I worked, it was recommended I get some tuners. Some strap locks. I didn't know what strap locks really were at that point. I was just working at the store not very long, and so I found out, oh man, this is a way to secure your straps, so you actually have to be intentional to remove them. And over the years, I've tried, I think, every brand, and sometimes even just those little things that clip on the outside of the strap. But my favorite by far is the Schaller strap locks. Now there is a new version. In researching, trying to get images for the video, I see they now have the Schaller S locks, and it's a new version. I'm going to be buying them because I think they're cool. I think the way they're attaching to the strap is much nicer. I think it's beefier looking, and I have always liked the Schaller design, but let me explain why. Some different companies make strap locks where the strap button, the part that's on the bass, is hollow, and then the strap lock that's on the strap kind of goes into it, and these ball bearings hold it, and it clicks in place, and you release it by popping it out. I've had issues with that, where the ball bearings, by taking it on and off, the ball bearings get worn or something, and then sure enough, playing live, it pops off. I really like the Schaller design because the Schaller design, what's on the strap is a cup. It's like this, and then the strap button fits in that. So gravity holds it down. So even if for some reason the mechanism was to fail, which I haven't had one fail yet, it's still caught on the strap button, because to remove it, you actually have to pull a pin and pull it down. So it's like a 2-stage thing. And on the Dolphin that you see me play quite a bit, that I have had the original strap locks on, and I got that bass in 99 or 2000. I'm sorry, 89 or 90. What am I saying? Yeah, 89. I got it right at the end of my time as a student at mine, and that's phenomenal. So it was probably closer to 90. And boy, I gotta tell you, the strap locks I've never worn. They're the same strap locks right there. Think about that, man. That's something that takes a lot of use, and so I really do like the Schaller S locks. Okay, so that's my Frankenstein bass, my dream Frankenstein bass. As I said before, I'm super excited to kind of see what you guys do, because you guys might introduce me to like something new that I haven't experienced before. So what I would suggest is I'll put in the description of the video, I will put a the list of the components, and then you can cut and paste it into your comment section, just fill it in. Maybe that'll make it easier for you. And I'm dying to see. So anyway, that's about it. That's my dream Frankenstein bass. One day I think I will build it. I'm kind of excited about it. This project, which was started by a sniper in Northern California, got my juices flowing, and I think it'd be kind of fun to make. So I'll keep you posted on that. And if you guys like this video, I'll do another one for a 5-string and possibly for a 6-string, what my recommendations or what I would like. As always with list videos, these are my opinions, and anyone who comments and puts theirs down, that's their opinion. Please don't attack them. If they're different from what you like, or you tried something and that they like and it didn't work for you, be respectful. You can mention that, but try not to attack them personally, because I never really want that vibe for this channel or this community. All right. As always, I know it's a broken record, but I really am needing more subscriptions. I want to get over the 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you could just take a moment and go down and hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell notification, that'd be so great. Also, the thumbs up, likes, that really matters. It really matters a lot to growing the channel and to getting more influence and more opportunity. So if you could do those things for me, that'd be awesome. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking with me on these videos. Thank you for contributing ideas for videos. I love it. I'm up for it, man. It really kind of excites me when someone will say, hey, can you do a video on palm muting? Can you do a video on this or video on that? And I try to get right on it. All right. Anyway, I will see you at a future video. You guys be safe. Take care of yourself and play loud. See you guys.